James Lynch here for Home of Fight. Happy to be joined by Mario Bautista, who now has a new opponent, new date, a lot of things moving around here. He's going to now be taking on Patchy Mix at UFC 316, June 7th. Mario, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Yeah, been a busy few days, but it's going good.
Before we talk about Mix, being in the mix, no pun intended, with being the new opponent, why was the original fight with Chito Vera moved? Were you ever given a reason for that?
I guess he got hurt his ribs or something like that, and I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if it was due to training or maybe some hobby he said he does. I'm not too sure, but the fight had already got pushed back before, so we were supposed to fight May 3rd, and it got pushed back, to June 7th. And so once that happened, I didn't even know what to think, to be honest. But
yeah. No, I know it's frustrating because you're supposed to fight. That was the Iowa card, by the way, too, right? I believe you were supposed to fight on the one that Corey Sandhagen fought Figueroa. So that was the original fight. Then it gets moved, and then you find Chito's out. So take me through when you found out that Chito was injured, because that, I believe, was like the time of recording this, May 19th. I think it was last week we heard that he was out. When did you find out that Chito was out?
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say it was last Tuesday, I found out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I just checked my phone. I woke up in the morning and I see my manager had called me at, it was pretty late. It was like 9:30, but I was already in bed.
Yeah. Well, listen, and for people criticizing that, we're dads, bedtime is around 9 o'clock if you got to get up super early. So before anyone throws any shade at the 9 o'clock bedtime, I'll be here to defend it. So
that's so true. Everyone goes to bed at 8 o'clock here, and I'm just sitting out here by myself. I'm like, I better get to bed.
Yeah.
But
get those 8 hours.
So I was just thinking, like, dang, like for him to call me that late, I was like, I don't even know what it could be, but I was kind of thinking of some bad news. And then I talked to him in the morning. He said, yeah, Chito hurt his ribs. They're going to try to keep you on the card. They're going to look for a new opponent, and we'll get back to you with some options. So, yeah. And then I guess just happened to be Patchy got released from his contract that day as well, and they got him into another one.
Yeah, it all kind of worked out that way with Patchy, because I think the sequence of events was Chito was out, then we heard Patchy sign, and then people were kind of putting two to two together. Did you, before we even talk about like the matchup itself, did you know much about Patchy before accepting this fight? Because obviously he's been fighting in Bellator and PFL. I don't know if you pay attention a lot to what's going on over there, but how familiar were you with Patchy before taking this fight?
No, I've been very familiar with him. Yeah, I've been watching him for years. Just fight everyone here or at Bellator. A lot of good names and everything too. So I've known about him for a while. I think right after my Blackshear fight, I seen him down there at the lobby, and he said congratulations. That he was a fan. I said, oh, I'm a fan as well. So that's the only time I've seen him, but I have watched plenty of his fights.
And now that you have, how do you feel like stylistically you match up against him in this one? Obviously, he's got great submissions. We've seen a lot of wins by submission on his end.
Mm-hmm. No, I like the matchup. We have some great grapplers at our gym, really good ones. So I feel pretty comfortable taking this fight. I feel good. Luckily, it's still the same kind of training partners. Kind of longer bodies, but stylistically, we had to just switch it up a little bit. And but no, I feel fully prepared, and we have all the tools. We have all the guys to get this job done.
I know obviously you go out there to win every fight, but you have to look at your record as well. I think the only time you've ever been submitted was your debut, right, against Corey Sandhagen. So did you take that as sort of a, a good sign in the sense that he's used to finishing guys by submission? You're a guy that's very tough to take out. Do you kind of look at that as being a bit favorable on your end?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And even more so now, because when I fought Sandhagen, I think maybe a purple belt.
Yeah.
In jiu-jitsu.
And that was short notice too, was it not, that fight, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it was short notice. And then at the same time, you really don't think that Sandhagen's going to jump on a submission, kind of surprise you. Like, dang, I thought this dude was going to try to beat me up standing up. But I know what Patchy's going to do. We all know what he's going to try to look for. We know that. So that makes it this job a little bit easier. You know what to look for. You know what to work on. So yeah, that's why I feel fully prepared.
And the other thing too is this in some ways a bigger fight, because we're talking about a guy who's a former Bellator champion. Nothing against Chito Vera, he's fought for the title, obviously a successful UFC career, but when you fight those Bellator champions, it adds a little bit more intrigue to the matchup. Do you feel like in some ways this is a bigger fight than previously fighting Chito?
Yeah, if it's not bigger than then it's the same. And that's what I was very happy about. You know, I was a little worried, like, dang, like this is gonna be short notice. I don't think anyone in the top 10 is gonna take this fight.
Mhm.
So I was a little worried they might give me someone, you know, a little bit lower in the rankings, but you know, they brought Patchy. He has a following, a former champion, you know, outside the UFC. So I was excited. You know, I was excited when I found out I was fighting Chito. The weeks go on, you know, and then you hear Patchy's going to take it now. I just get even more excited now because it's a big fight, and this is kind of one that I'm looking forward to.
And then the other thing that sort of plays into this fight, he hasn't fought in a while. That was part of the reason that, you know, I think he wanted the release from PFL as well. His last fight, I think, was in May of last year. So long layoff coming into here. Do you buy into, you know, cage rest, ring rest and all that? Do you think that'll be a factor in the fight?
It could be, you know, on top of a kind of a short notice thing. You know, if a whole year goes by, I don't see someone just being on, you know, on assault bike, staying in condition, you know, the whole year. So I could be wrong though, and you know that's why I got to be ready for everything. But it could play a factor.
You mentioned camp. Who are some of the guys that you're working with over the lab that are helping you prepare for this one?
Yeah, I've had Jose Delgado for a few weeks now. He just made his debut, I think, a few months ago, and by KO. I have him. I have Ezra Elliott, who's just a monster on the mat as when it comes to jiu-jitsu and wrestling. And personally, I think my training partner Ezra is better than Patchy as far as like grappling goes. So lucky to have him. So working with him, and then just whoever has like tall, kind of longer body like Patchy, they've all been helping me out.
Okay, that's good. How about the weight cut? I know you always make weight, but you know, this fight got switched up a bit. How's all that going ahead of the fight?
Oh, it's going good. You know, I've had plenty of time to, you know, just keep working, get to watch my weight. You know, it's pretty easy. I wouldn't say easy, but you just got to be disciplined. You know, the hard part comes like it's the last week. You know, but you just got to stay in condition, and it makes that weight cut a little bit easier. And I always get the job done, so I'm not too worried about it.
Your corner, who will be in the cage with you for this one?
I got Yanni Mesa, Randy Stanky, and John Crouch as always. So those guys will be in my corner. Yeah, Jose Delgado will be there, but unfortunately we can only have three corners. So he'll be in the stands cheering me on.
How's this fight playing out on June 7th? How do you see it unfolding?
Man, I see it. It's going to be a good fight. You know, I'm going to be looking for the finish. You know, I think I'm going to have the same mentality leading into this Chito fight, or what I thought was the Chito fight, and just, you know, make a statement. So I'm glad it's Patchy Mix, a champion. He has a lot of hype around him. So I can't wait to, you know, put a stop to that and earn my spot.
What do you make of the main event? Obviously going to be a little bit biased, but you know, O'Malley has a chance to win back the belt, and he's taking on Merab for a second time here.
Yeah. I'm hoping Sean is like healthy coming into this fight. But I think it's going to be better than the first, you know. And personally, I think Sean's going to have to probably knock him out, and he can finish him. And then as Merab, as always, you know, he's just going to keep on coming. So, you know, we'll see. I think I have Sean getting a finish there sometime.
We mentioned it there, you know, Patchy being a Bellator champ. We've seen, you know, fighters get wins over, you know, Bellator guys and really get propelled up the division. Where would a win, especially a finish over Patchy, really put you in the grand scheme of things? Because like I said, I think this is going to hold more weight if you get a win here over Chito Vera, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it definitely shoots me into that top 5. You know, it's pretty definitive because we all know how good Patchy is. You know, I've heard Jim stories about him and everything too. So I know how good he is, and so a win over him, I definitely deserve to be in that top 5.
Yeah, I think it's got really big implications here. Who do you think fights for the bantamweight title next? You know, some people feel like with Sandhagen's win over Davidson Figueroa, that maybe he's next. Do you think that's kind of the way they're leaning? Or some people have suggested that Sandhagen should rematch Piotr Jan, and then the winner of that should fight for the title. What do you think of the top of your division right now?
I don't know. We'll have to see. I'd like to see Sandhagen get the shot next. You know, hopefully O'Malley, you know, wins. I think him and Sandhagen would be a fan-friendly fight. I think people would love that fight, and I would have Sean winning that fight too. But I think Sandhagen's probably deserving of it.
Yeah, I think that performance, and again, fresh matchup either way, right? Sandhagen's hasn't fought Merab or O'Malley. I think that could be a really interesting one here. And then as far as, you and the division, do you find that, obviously we had the Jose Aldo fight a couple weeks ago. He loses to Aiemann, Zahabi, retires. Do you feel like the heat's kind of off you a little bit now with that fight? Because fans were complaining about that too, where, Zahabi, comes back from the dead and gets the win over Jose Aldo. Have you noticed that at all or no?
No, I feel like the hate is still there. I think the day he fought, I got a little bit more. It was like an uptick in messages that I got, and just a reminder, we still hate you, kind of thing. I was just like, whatever.
Can't catch a break,
but
yeah, for sure. What did you think of that fight, though? That was pretty crazy that Zahabi was able to survive that.
Yeah, that was wild. He straight took a soccer kick to the face from Aldo. I forgot that it's legal now. At the time, I was just like, oh my god, he just do something illegal.
Yeah,
but no, and then, yeah, you're right. He just came back from the dead and put the pressure on, at the end of the round. So, I thought it was a good fight. I thought he won. So, he just put the pressure on him, and you could see Aldo was. If there was a round 4 and 5, it would have been over for sure.
So you think Aldo deserved the win there? Because some people felt like it should have gone his way.
No, I thought he lost.
Okay, gotcha.
I know. Yeah, I know he did good at especially first and kind of second round, but I always kind of look at how you kind of end the fight. And when you look at the two, it's just like, well, if there's any more that goes on after this, we all know who's winning. So, that's the way I kind of like to look at it. But I thought he did enough to win for sure.
Before we go, always got to do this from one dad to another. How's fatherhood going these days? How's your daughter doing? Everything in full swing right now? I guess we're getting up to the kind of end of the school year right here pretty soon.
Yeah, so this is her last week, so she only has 3 more days left of school.
Oh wow!
She's going to be graduating from kindergarten, so we're pretty excited about that. It just seems like I feel like when she was born, I would say like, man, imagine when she graduates kindergarten, and boom, we're here now.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to have this summer with her. I'm having this fight right, a few weeks after she's done with school, and so the rest of the time I won't have to worry about thinking of a fight coming up and, I can't go do this with you, baby, because I got to go train or whatever. So I'm excited for that free time that we have over the summer together.
Yeah, and the reason I said it was coming up soon, I think we had this conversation before, but for some reason in Canada, the kids get another month here. So they're not, both my kids, they're not done till June, end of June, which is so weird. But then they also start a week later. Like I think you guys, the kids in the US, they start in August, I think. We start in September here in Canada, which is so weird. I don't know why they do it like that. Yeah.
For us, it's either the beginning of June, all the way to the end of August.
Yeah.
Or in my daughter's case, right at the end of May. So, yeah,
that's weird. I think it's better. I think you guys have the better system. Get them out while there's still more. You get more of summer that way. I think so. Makes a little bit more sense. But anyways, before people think this is like a parenting show, Mario, thanks for the time, man. I appreciate it. UFC 316. It's going to be such a good fight. June 7th. Anyone you want to thank before we get out of here? Any sponsors? Any social media you want to mention? I'll give you the last word.
Just as always, want to thank my team, my training partners. For sticking with me through all the change-ups and everything too. So, and my management, Iridium Sports Agency, then also you for doing this interview. So hopefully we don't have to redo it later on for any other reason.
Exactly.
So.
I think we're good this time. I think we're good. So there we go.
Yeah.